What's up, Throttlers? We are going live. I am Aristotle Full Throttle, and if you're like me, you've been isolated, you've been quarantined, you are being conscientious and thoughtful to your fellow human being by stopping and slowing the spread of a pandemic. And the only way to do that at this point, before there's vaccines, before there's any way to treat it, other than using a ventilator, best thing we can do as human beings, and the absolute very least thing we can do, is stay apart. That's how we can stay a step ahead of a virus. The virus doesn't care if you're secretly meeting up with people, it doesn't care. See, this is actually a really interesting test of people's ability. What's up, Ismail? Cheers to you. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a cup of coffee or some kind of beverage equivalent, caffeinated, alcoholic. It doesn't matter. There are no rules anymore. There is no rules. There, there are no. There's no time. What is even time, people? Nothing. It means nothing anymore. Ismail, thank you for joining me. Cheers to you. I was just saying how we all need to be conscientious in this very moment. I'm gonna turn this light down just a little bit because you never know. You never know. It could take up to 14 days if you show symptoms, if you show any at all, and you could be spreading a virus. And with that out of the way, and I'll mention it again, don't worry. I like being the annoying guy because every time I say this over social media, there's inevitably, undoubtedly, someone who is like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So the best thing to do is just to repeat yourself ad nauseum until people vomit in their pants. You know what I was thinking? If the first sign of coronavirus was that you immediately crap in your pants, people would be locked the F down. Nobody would want to be out in public and just suddenly crap their pants. I mean, I don't know if that's your thing, whatever. So I wanted to talk about Star Wars because it's a big part of entertainment. It's a big part of my childhood and sadly, it's become a big part of my adulthood. I don't know why but you know what? I have to say, after watching these last 3 sequel movies, after the excitement, the anticipation of seeing these movies come out, and wanting these movies to come out, and wanting them to be good, and wanting them to undo the prequels, which were 3 movies before that take place before the original trilogy, I have now become that guy who is like, you know what? We always have the original trilogy because I think that they did an unsatisfactory job overall making prequels and sequels. Unsatisfactory, particularly this last movie, The Rise of Skywalker, which I thought was a garbage heap. It was a burning pile of fan service. And there was no expansion on a story. There was no exciting or compelling lore that I took to, like the original, which Joseph Campbell wrote a book called, basically, it's about mythology and all of mythology and what unites all of mythology across time and all cultures are certain basic tropes and basic archetypes, if you will, that join all of humanity over time. And George Lucas took that into consideration when he made the original Star Wars trilogy. He really did. He was like, yo, bro, mythology is dope. What if we create a new mythology that takes place in a setting that has never really been seen before, other than a setting that you can only really represent in a visual medium such as film? So he took advantage of the fact that he was taking a visual medium and creating a new style of storytelling using, not creating a new style of storytelling, but using these archetypes of myth that join us over time using a different setting. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm going to also go live on Instagrams, because why not? Why not have everybody join join in the silly fun. Not sure how to do this. Let's see. Can I change my frame? Ismail, do you have a question about Star Wars? Because I'm happy to. Chat with you about that. I didn't think about this too much. Nobody should really think about this too much. Shouldn't spend too much time thinking about these kinds of things. You should definitely not spend the amount of time that I do thinking about this. The mailman is here, or the mail person. It's a very dangerous job right now. We got to thank the people who are maintaining the services and all of the things that we're doing in life. I think that's it's commendable. It's a commendable thing to be in healthcare right now. I actually know someone in healthcare, and they caught the corona. They got the Rona, and they were home for 2 weeks, which is very sad because they could have been helping people for 2 weeks. But they're fine. They're going to be okay, like most people who catch the Rona. I'll just go live here. Oh, it sounds like a loud fan, probably. All right. I really thought this out, guys. Thank you. So I heard today that they are going to rehire a writer for Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan series that's taking place on Disney Plus next year. They delayed it originally. I don't know. What's the over-under that's going to get canceled, guys? Do you think that Obi-Wan, the series, is going to get canceled totally? Here. I'll just go live here. Checking connection. What's up, guys? Live on Instagram. Just doing a live stream on my YouTube channel. You go to Aristotle Full Throttle or YouTube/Aristotle Full Throttle, or go on YouTube and go ahead and, I don't know, find me. Here, I could send a link maybe. There's too many interfaces right now. Live streaming on Instagram, live streaming on YouTube. I don't know. Everybody's over at TikTok anyway, so nobody cares about any of this stuff. Just put a beat to this, and I'll start flossing. I hope that'll compel people to watch. So we're talking about Star Wars today. Big surprise. We're talking about Star Wars. Isn't that funny? Kids today, they don't love the Star Wars. Kids in my day did. I want to talk about the failure of Star Wars in general, because it used to be fun. It used to be a lot of fun. Hey guys, thanks for joining me on Instagram. Remember, you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I'm also streaming on right now. This is fun. I hated Rise of Skywalker. I'm sorry I said it. I hated it. I hated it. I hate it. Hate is a strong word. I really, really, really didn't like it. I, in fact, hated it. I think it's a bad movie. I think it was a bad. It was just a bad. So many lost and missed opportunities in that movie. But, you know, again, I'm the guy who's going to be like, at least we have the original trilogy. What did you guys think? Because it's about the MCU nowadays. That's our Star Wars. That's true. It really is. The MCU actually executed, I think, in like a cinematically historical fashion. They executed, I wouldn't say a flawless landing with Endgame, but taking 12 years of movies, starting with Iron Man, integrating them all so well, and then satisfyingly conclude so many character arcs, or so many characters. Each character has an arc per movie, but resolving the characters and resolving this overarching story was really impressive. I was excited about that. It really, really excited me. It was the opposite of how I felt when I saw The Rise of Skywalker. When I saw The Rise of Skywalker, I audibly tisked many times. I huffed. I often huffed watching that movie. What, bro, man? What is your favorite movie in the MCU? Let me know. What is your favorite character in the MCU? I hit my head the other day on my guitar. It's close quarters here, guys. We're all quarantined. Sometimes you might get hit in the face with a guitar. MCU. Yolene, Buckshots, thank you for joining. I'm going to wave to you physically. I'm not going to press the wave button. I'm just going to go like this because it serves the same purpose, does the same job. I could probably do a much better setup on this. This is my first setup. This is the first of 5 days straight that I'm going to be doing this, guys. And we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about Obi-Wan. What do you think? I don't know if you guys can see this, but these are my Star Wars designs. That's the Millennium Falcon. What do you guys think that the Obi-Wan series is going to do? I heard that it was going to be too similar to The Mandalorian, and that's why they had to kind of backpedal and rewrite episodes and cut it down from 6 episodes to 4 episodes or something like that. Favorite movie is Civil War, and favorite character is Spider-Man. So Spider-Man shows up in Civil War for the first time. That's actually a pretty good movie. I have to say that I can watch Endgame at any time. However, my favorite movies out of all of them, probably Ragnarok and Guardians 2. I'm a Guardians 2 guy. I didn't really care too much. I liked Guardians, but I wasn't like super fanboy about it. John Boyega is going live right now, guys. It's me competing with John Boyega. My 3 viewers versus John Boyega. F that guy. He's actually a phenomenal actor. Even in Pacific Rim 2. If you watch that movie, which I suggest, it's actually pretty fun if you like that kind of thing. If you like giant kaiju fighting robots. John Boyega brings his character to life, and Scott Eastwood is terrible. Scott Eastwood brings his wood to wood. He's just wood. There's the reason why there's the word wood in his name. Scott Eastwood is terrible. He just kind of shows up and is like, and John Boyega is actually a real person and likable in that movie. Spider-Man is my favorite character of all time, probably. Although I've really taken to Captain America. At least the representation on film is pretty great. Guardians 2, the day it opened in the Philippines. Awesome. I saw Guardians 2. Here's a funny story. When I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, walking out of the movie, when I was walking in, was Michael Rooker, because I happen to live in LA, and I'm going to name drop now, but it has nothing to do with me. It just had the fact that I was at a movie theater in LA, and Michael Rooker and the director of Guardians, what's his name? If you guys can tell me the name quick before I can Google it, James Gunn, were walking out of the theater and just talking to each other, and then I waved to them, and I was like, hey, you guys are people that I know, and one of you is in the movie. I didn't realize the other guy was not in the movie. Sorry for the off-topic question, but are you using a DSLR as a webcam? I am. Why do you ask? Is there a lag? Is there a judder? A judder. You guys should not. If you guys have those high-tech TVs with the LEDs and all that stuff, you got to turn down that crazy stuff, that high frame rate stuff. I sometimes will walk into someone's house and they're just like, look at the brand new TV, and I go, it looks terrible because it's like doing all this. You need to make it fluid, more fluid looking. You need to make it more fluid, like Tilda Swinton. Guys, we're stuck inside. So the quality of the depth of field is better than a webcam. I agree, and this is part of the decision of choosing my camera. I am lucky enough to have one. I'm lucky enough to be a professional photographer that has a DSLR, but I am not working. Nobody's working. So I'm going to use it as a webcam right now. Yaog, nice to see you. How are you doing, man? I have not physically talked to you since I was but a wee lad. But we're interfacing on this. I hope you're still playing music. Also, here's a fun story. Yaug, this is what I remember, has perfect pitch, or at least had perfect pitch. I don't know how good your pitch is now, whether it's relative or perfect, but I could actually spell things out for him on the keyboard, and he could hear the note and spell out the word that I was spelling in the limited portion of the alphabet that make up the 12-tone scale. The diatonic scale, as it were. Yeah, my family is doing well. They are locked down. However, they are in New York, so of course there are some obvious concerns about that. They're in a hot spot in New York, and kind of keeping an eye on the situation, making sure that everybody's gonna be okay. So that's that. What movies are you guys watching while you're home, stuck in quarantine? What are you watching? Everybody's watching Tiger King. Listen, I can't watch Tiger King. It's a hard thing. I know everybody's talking about it, and I have an issue with, like, I'm not Morrissey bad. Like, I'm not super, like, PETA bad. But when there's animal exploitation, I get the shits. I get sick. I don't want to watch it, so it makes me upset. And now if people are talking about Tiger King, I wonder how the Lion King feels about that. Tiger King, he's probably jealous. What do you want to see in Spider-Man 3 MCU? Here's a funny thing. Actually, I was reading an article yesterday. They were saying how they should introduce Matt Murdock into Spider-Man 3. Of course, Matt Murdock being the lawyer, blind guy, Daredevil. And they made a good point on how they could actually dovetail that into the story. Because if you remember at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, the sequel to Spider-Man, it was revealed by J. Jonah Jameson that Peter Parker was Spider-Man to the world. So he's perhaps going to need some representation in court, and that representation could come from none other than Matt Murdock, Daredevil, which could be pretty cool. Can't watch it either, but I'm not really a reality TV guy generally. Yeah, I'm the same. I like a good documentary. However, Netflix has this thing going on with documentaries because they've been so successful with documentaries. I really liked Making a Murderer, but the first Making a Murderer took about 10, 12 years to make. So they're really kind of crafting this story over years and years and years. And then they just rushed to make a second season of Making a Murderer basically shot over 18 months. But they were like, well, the first Making a Murderer is 10 episodes. So people are going to expect a second season that's also 10 episodes. The problem with that is there wasn't enough content or substance to spread over 10 episodes. That did not stop Netflix from creating 10 episodes, though. That's like their series Pandemic, their documentary series Pandemic. It's several episodes long. I had to turn off the first episode about 40 minutes in because basically the first episode just was going, hey, pandemics, those are bad. We don't want a pandemic. And then they take 40 minutes to say that. So I like a good long documentary if there's enough to say. However, if there's not enough to say and Netflix just needs episodes, they will just go on and on and on. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but they want you to binge watch um, or have it on in the background. There isn't much reality TV that I like. I do like a good, well crafted narrative feature film. Those are my preferences, really. However, I haven't really been watching anything. Tonight, though, I think I might watch both Jumanjis. I hear that they're good. Those are fun. I still have to watch Parasite, the best picture of the year. If you guys saw Parasite, I don't know. Don't tell me. Don't spoil it. But Spider Man 3, what I'd also like to see in Spider Man 3 would be, I don't know. It's usually Spider Man's arch nemesis is the Green Goblin, generally speaking. And, Doc Ock, depending on, I guess, which comic book they're trying to sell. So it would be interesting to see him start to explore his relationship with the Osborns and all that. Though, I don't know, the Green Goblin might have been just overdone in the past, and the Hobgoblin or Green Goblin 2, as James Franco played him. Yaug. I simply don't trust producers and directors to not try to force compelling content by creating artificial situations and exaggerated reactions that would happen in real life. That wouldn't happen in real life. Yes. Okay. I mentioned I am a professional photographer. The professional photography I do generally is on set, is on TV shows and movies. So when I do that, it used to just be movies, and then it turned into like TV movies, and then it turned into commercials and reality TV and web content. And the problem with that is, like, you can't unsee. I always had a hunch how, say, going back to even The Real World on MTV, had the kind of forced situations, and even though it seems as if it was some version of reality, it is very much staged. They give you a stage. It's kind of lazy. It's definitely lazy TV making, because they'll go, I've worked on several reality TV shows now, and they'll just bring everybody who's going to meet for the first time, and then they'll all hang out and talk for a bit, and they'll say, here's the game plan. They're going to come to the door, and you're going to meet for the first time. And then you're going to talk about this, and you're going to talk about that, and you're going to talk about this. And then there's no script. There's no anything. They just shoot it once or twice. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, nice to meet you. And then they come in, and then they all sit around a table, and then they talk for like 40 minutes, and then they cut that down to 5. But it's just, they're like, okay, can we just shoot that again? The light was bad. Can you guys meet for the first time again? The light was bad. That part of reality TV shows it's just tiring. And as much as I love Queer Eye, that's really the show. It's just another reality show that does that. Everybody, they're like, okay, we're gonna have an emotional moment now, so why don't you go in there and talk to them about their mother, because we know someone's gonna get upset if you mention their mother. Hey, what's up, Mokola? We're just talking about the beauty of reality TV and how good it is. I'm lying. No, reality TV is, I mean, obviously it's fake. Nobody is arguing that. But it's just so silly how fake it is. And I've witnessed it, and it's awful. I mean, it's entertainment. That's entertainment. My sister-in-law was a nanny, and she's manufactured all this, put the baby near the pot-bellied pig, and then pull her away, make her look worse mom than she is. Yeah, they really do kind of do all this kind of stuff. It's I don't know. It's just lazy. You don't need actors. You don't need writers. You just need a producer to go, all right, Can you guys like mention the thing about his brother again, just to piss him off, and then we'll video that, and also we'll ply you all with alcohol for like several hours because we know how people behave on alcohol. um, what's up, Joe? Joe Sardo, how is your quarantine going? Mine's going well. I've got a nice hot cup of coffee, just hanging out. Um, got my Star Wars diagrams up there. It's been good. It's been good. Here's one thing: you're not missing out on anything. Nobody's missing out on anything. Hanging with your cat dog. That's great. I does your cat dog, is it like one animal or how many? How many cat dogs do you have? I would love a cat dog right now. But right now I've just got my stormtrooper pillow. Well, that's cool, Joe. Are you in New York? Cuz New York's a hot spot. Parents are in New York. Everybody in my family is in New York except for me. You have a pug and a Maine Coon. Those are... So now does the Maine Coon... Is the Maine Coon the boss? Or is the pug? I'll wait. Let's see. So we're basically... I need some suggestions as to what to watch, because right now I mostly think about what to watch. My brain is on like permanent Netflix scroll, but for everything. I'm like, maybe I could watch that, or do I want to spend the time watching that? And then I don't watch anything. I end up just playing guitar. Yeah, I bet your Maine Coon is huge. Those are like fluffy kitties. They're big. My mom has a Maine Coon, actually. She also has a ragdoll cat that jumps on her, like from up high when she's sleeping every morning. Just jumps from several feet in the air from a dresser or something, and just jumps right on top of her every morning. Wakes her up. That's cool. I want to know how everybody's doing. How are you holding up in isolation and quarantine? Are you guys watching anything of note? I know, again, I'm going to bring up Tiger King. Can't watch it though. I don't know. What is the appeal of Tiger King? Convince me. Change my mind about Tiger King. Maybe I'll write that. I'll write that on my whiteboard. Tiger King is not as cool as Lion King. Change my mind. I got a huge delivery of 2.2 pounds of coffee today, and probably that's going to last me until about 3 p.m. Yeah, Joe, I don't know. What is the appeal of the Tiger King? What is the appeal? Is it because he's just like Florida Man or something? Because Florida Man is a thing. Yeah, I've got this. Just wanted to show you this injury again. Again, that's from a guitar. Joe, what have you watched this week? What was the last thing you watched? Yeah, see, that's a thing about reality TV. Generally, people want to watch reality TV because it is hard not to watch. Stranger Things 3. I've got 2 more episodes to go on Stranger Things 3. I watched most of it last year when it came out, and I've got 2 more to go. And I thought that Uma and Ethan Hawke's kid was the best part, and that was before I realized her parentage. I was like, who is this person? She's probably the best actor on this whole show. And it turns out it's in her family acting. Both of her parents are serviceable, pretty good actors, actually. Any opinions on that? Uma Thurman, best actor of the 90s. Changed my mind. There's my old drummer texting me. Donald Trump announces big Trump Easter announcement. What are you guys going to do for Easter? I think I might order a bunch of candy, and then I'm going to eat the candy. WWE classic science shows like Cosmos. Oh, Cosmos is so good. Have you watched the new Cosmos of the 90s? Okay, Uma Thurman, best actor of 1994. Changed my mind. Best actor of August 1994. August 8th, 1994. Support our local restaurants for Easter. Yeah, order some food. Order some, people, they're out of work. Believe you me, people are out of work. That's why I do this. It's because I love it. Clearly, this is what I would be doing if there were no work. Actually, I would. Oh, this is fun. This and playing guitar. There goes the FedEx guy. Mo Cola, what are you watching? What was the last thing that you watched? Oh, wait. Yeah, there's a... Let's see what's trending on Netflix, guys. We're just having a hangout. We're talking about movies. Tiger King, of course, is number 1 on Netflix. Top 10. Let's go to the top 10. Oof. Ozark. Oh, there's a new season of Ozark? Is that right? I really like Ozark. Yeah, Cosmos 3. The Great British Bake Show. Always. They'll never run out of that. They'll never run out of things to bake. And if they do, they'll just start over. They'll say, hey, we've got cookies. Cookies, bake a cookie, guys. Let's spend 40 minutes baking a cookie. Uh-oh, your cookies are burnt. That's basically the show. And it's really heartbreaking, actually. But don't... Because does it give you ideas to bake for the next time that you bake, or the first time you bake, or do you bake at all? Do you just have like some kind of vicarious baking urge? Because I don't know. I watched Chopped because basically, I don't know if you guys know the show Chopped, but every contestant, there are 3 contestants and 3 or 4 contestants, and there are 3 rounds. You got to make an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert, but you can only use the main ingredients that they give you, and there'll be 3 random ass ingredients. They'll say like pork shoulder, peach cobbler, and a carburetor. And now you have to make an appetizer out of that. And they'll have to figure it out. That's basically my life now when I open up my cabinet. I say, welcome to Chopped. I'd be terrible at the game Chopped, though. 30 minutes. I would have 2 minutes to go with the 2-minute warning, and then they'd be like, Aristotle, you have 2 minutes left, and you're still chopping an onion. And then I'd be like, I made you onion surprise. Raw onion surprise. All American. Is that Bobby Brown? Who is that? Oh no, I don't know what that is. Hangover? The Hangover is number 10 on trending. That should tell you something. It should tell you everything you need to know. Breaking Bad was pretty good. Did you all watch El Camino, the sequel to Breaking Bad? Yeah. Well, Joe, you say you don't watch baking shows. I fear getting fat, but you can't get fat from just watching the baking show. Although, I don't know. I guess nowadays we could if we're just sitting on the couch the whole time. I would be watching the baking show, wanting to. I'd probably, yeah. I would just. I have brown sugar, so I would just eat the brown sugar, pretending it's a cobbler. Yeah, that's true. It would drive me to eat. Sometimes though, it feels good to just watch people make good food. Um, Parks and Recreation. I need to start that show. Yeah, that's a good idea, Joe. I think you should watch the baking shows after you eat because if you, that's like going shopping. Not that we can go shopping right now because shopping causes way more, food shopping causes way more anxiety than you used to do because now there's a pandemic. Not sure you know about that. But you should always eat before you go food shopping because otherwise, if I don't eat before I go food shopping, all I'll buy is Oreos and ice cream. And I'll be like, this seems fine. This seems like a healthy, square diet if I just eat these Oreos because they look delicious and I want to eat them. Um, it's a good idea to be sated before grocery shopping. Nurse Jackie. That's not trending. But yeah, of course, action adventure, outbreak, and pandemic are also trending. Um, Not at all. Let's see. Is this Will? I thought it was at 12:30. Yes, PST. 3:30 my time. Yes, Will. Thank you for joining. I was checking my watch. I've just been biding time until you showed up, Will. Let's see. You still haven't seen El Camino. El Camino's good. It's good. It has a cool Robert Forster is in it, and he's a great actor. You might remember him from movies such as Jackie Brown and all of the 70s. He was he's in it, and he introduces a character who recurs in Better Call Saul this season too, which I thought was pretty integrated. And sadly, Robert Forster died of brain cancer just months ago. So the movie, and this season of Better Call Saul were basically his last roles. And what an actor that guy was, man! Just his scenes alone in that show are fantastic. Um, I keep switching between these two cameras. The next time I do this live stream, though, I'm going to put the cameras adjacent one another, so that way I won't be splitting my look, as they say in the biz. I could split it this way. Now neither camera is looking. I'm not looking at either camera. Hope you guys have a nice cup of coffee, something to keep you warm inside, happy, fuzzy. It's all about. Here's the funny thing: I live in a city. It's been very quiet. However, there are people who will be on the street talking every now and I'm wondering, have they not gotten a memo yet? Maybe I should go out there and, well, not go out there, but I just want to maybe shoot a spitball at them. Guys, stay inside. This is going to be, not to be alarmist, but according to the Surgeon General, this week and next will be equivalent to the 9/11 of this pandemic. So a lot of people are losing their resolve. It's actually the best time to double down. Um, so I hope you guys are taking it very seriously and distancing with one another. They are the weakest link. Yeah, that's exactly it. They are the weakest link, these people. And we're only as strong as our weakest link, according to British game shows. Why two cameras? One of them is my phone. I'm actually streaming this live to Instagram right now because I'm trying to cross-pollinate my audiences. Apparently, I think a lot of... Yeah, it's what you got to do. But I was saying before, it's way more... If this were on TikTok, that would be ideal, I guess. I just need to put a beat to it and start flossing because that's the only thing you need to do these days. I go on TikTok and I watch people's TikTok videos get hundreds of thousands of views, and they're just, I don't know, they're just kind of dancing for a second. I'm officially old. El Camino, so I've heard it. Haven't seen Better Call Saul either. Better Call Saul is pretty good. However, it's just a good show. It's a good drama. It took a few seasons. Now it's starting to dovetail into Breaking Bad vibe. But it took a while to get there in a sense. So if you start watching Better Call Saul now, it'll probably be better because you can binge watch it. I've been watching it from the start and have had to wait a year between each season. And then going, okay, so here's a nice cameo. Here's a nice cameo from... The one thing about it is the show takes place before Breaking Bad. So around 2000, kind of starts out a little bit around 2003, 2004, and Breaking Bad started in 2008 and ends in 2010 according to the chronology, and 2015 was the last season of Breaking Bad. So people aged 7 years only to represent 2 years passing in the show, which you can kind of notice. But now Bob Odenkirk is basically playing 17 years younger than he is now to play in the show that takes place before Breaking Bad that he shot 12 years ago and 11 years. So you're gonna have to just go, all right, well, suspension of disbelief. That's why I watch movies. That's why movies work and TV works. He's like Antonio Fargas. He just looks like the era no matter when you see him. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Robert Forster does look like the 70s every time you see him. So your 11-year-old guitar student and all his classmates on TikTok, so consider the audience for those views. Yes. I don't know how to entertain an 11-year-old. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe this is the best entertainment for an 11-year-old. You know, Joe, I agree with you. I can't do TikTok either. What's the point? Well, sadly, the point is to entertain people, I guess. To entertain yourself, to network, to social medium. There is no point. TikTok is the new Instagram. Instagram was the new Twitter. Twitter was the new Facebook. Facebook was the new MySpace. MySpace was the new Friendster. This is going back. That's a deep cut. Friendster was the new high school. Hey, I can see your face. High school. Bob Odenkirk was one of the faces that, our vision gets worse. Bob Odenkirk, I think he's doing a good job. I mean, they give him they put a lot of makeup on him. Here's the cool thing about that I love about Better Call Saul is, and this will probably be noted after the series is over, creator Vince Gilligan is known for using color palettes and changing color palettes throughout his shows that represent certain things to him. So when he puts those and integrates them into the character, he's actually illustrating a change over time in that character through the visual media. One of the friggin' amazing things about Better Call Saul that I picked up on the first season, and it's still without fail, is that every single shot in that show, every single shot, I can't really think of a shot that doesn't have it, has the color yellow. Like you'll see the color yellow deliberately placed. Like they'll have a conversation, they'll talk, and then someone will lift a cup up and it'll be yellow. He'll walk out to his car, it'll be yellow. He'll be talking, he'll walk out into the road, the camera will lift up and you'll just see like the two yellow lines on the road. So they've been using the color yellow very specifically, and now it's changing to blue. So now they're showing blue all the time. So no matter what Saul wore or wherever he went, the color yellow would appear without fail. And I challenge him to do. It's just like Marie in Breaking Bad always wore purple. Even in the last episode when they showed her from just the top up talking on the phone, she was wearing a beige shirt. And you were like, oh my God, Marie is not wearing purple. And then they cut to a long shot and her pants were purple. And they did that just to mess with the audience. I thought that was pretty cool. So Star Wars, guys. Let's talk about some Star Wars. What do you think? Do you think it's failed? Do you think it can come back from The Rise of Skywalker? Do you think that The Mandalorian is something that has... do you think The Mandalorian is something that they should just stick with and then forget about the movies? I do. I think they should just pour all of their money and effort into creating a series that's like Game of Thrones level. Even though that there's no source material, they should just spend time working out, writing, working out. The thing I love about Star Wars, I've said this many times, is that it is a world in which you can create and agree. There's nothing you can do in the world of Star Wars that people will question. However, what I question is when people don't do anything new. Why would you not do anything new when you have infinite possibilities? And this is the problem, and I think the failing of the Star Wars films, the films that have come out, the last 4 films that have come out. They are either some kind of rehash, except for The Last Jedi, which I like. I think The Last Jedi actually departs. It deliberately tries to create new concepts. It tries to push Star Wars into a new realm. But people have their little security blanket about Star Wars, and they think that it should be the same thing all the time. And I don't know, does Star Wars attract that kind of person? Does Star Wars attract the kind of person who wants the same thing over and over again, and they want Star Wars to be what they want it to be, instead of allowing for people to create a world and take them on an adventure to create a whole new experience. You can tell so many different human stories in a fantastical backdrop, and they just don't do it. They don't try. They haven't tried. They just want to make their money back on the Star Wars, and that is the failing of Disney. I do not trust Disney. I don't think Disney was the... Disney, and this is a true fact, guys, and a true fact is a redundancy, but Disney literally studies the science of what cute is and the science of storytelling so that they can deliver a product that's entertaining enough, but kind of without soul and without actual artistry. So I studied animation in college. It was one of my film classes. And one of the terms I really despised, and I see this every time I open up Disney Plus, it's like Imagineering. All right, let's think about that word. Imagineer. Walt Disney came up with that term. It's a terrible word. It just means, like, it sounds to me they've taken the life out of their imagination. They're like, okay, another thing that Disney did that was terrible, in my opinion, that was opposite what Warner Brothers did with Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes would take a director like Charles Schultz. Was it Charles Schultz? Chuck Jones. Charles Schultz did Peanuts. Chuck Jones and just different directors. Tex Avery. And this director would have total creative vision over what they wanted to create in that episode, that 10-minute cartoon that they were going to make. And if you noticed that Bugs Bunny would look different depending on the creator at the time. Bugs Bunny would look different because because Chuck Jones was drawing him and not Tex Avery. So they just gave them license to put their stamp on these characters when they were doing it. Walt Disney, no. When he was filming, let's say, Cinderella or Snow White, he would have a bunch of artists facing the wall in cubbies, and they all had to draw the exact same thing, and it all had to look exactly the same as what whoever at the time was they would study what looked good, and they'd rotoscope, which rotoscope is a term where they would take an actual film of something and then just trace it, and they put that into the movie. To me, where's the creativity? Where's the inventiveness? I don't get it. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. Imagineering is garbage. I could throw it in the trash. I'm going on a rant. But Imagineering is not something that I think George Lucas would approve of in the 70s when he was creating Star Wars. I think he just went into a world of imagination and created an infinite realm of possibility. Give me soul or give me death. I agree. Let's see, Will's lagging behind. Yeah, so the difference between Warner Brothers and Disney, let's say, 60 years ago, is that Warner Brothers would have a room full of people kind of throwing ideas back and forth, joking with each other, and whatever jokes they thought were the funniest, they'd incorporate it. I mean, it was still pretty corporate, their way of doing things. But Disney was like, nope, it's got to be this way, and this way only. We have to Imagineer this thing. Where's the fun in that? Looks like we're running out of... my Instagram Live is probably going to shut down. I think you can only do an hour at a time. And that's probably why John Boyega is always going on. One thing that Star Wars did, positive, is introduce the world to John Boyega and Daisy Ridley. They're pretty good. John Boyega's, you'll see, and Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is also really good. And Adam Driver. They didn't skimp on the cast. The cast is top notch. However, if I were that cast, and you can kind of see how they reacted over the course of the 3 films. Force Awakens, everybody was like, this is precious, this is going to be amazing, we need to really be good and make this movie fantastic. The cast was so invested. If you go back and watch any of the interviews, they were like super excited to be a part of it. And then when The Last Jedi script came out, and we were just hearing about The Last Jedi script, and we saw all the actors going, oh, I don't know. You had Mark Hamill saying, I told the director that I disagree with everything in this script, but I'm going to do it because I'm an actor and I need to tell the story the way the director wants it to be told. And now, by the time the third one came out, nobody cared anymore. They were just like, let's get this over with. Let's just end this show because nobody's happy. We're never going to make anybody happy. Let's fulfill our contract obligations and make other movies after this. And that's really what the Rise of Skywalker felt like to me. But, to some people, Star Wars is just, hey, let's go eat some popcorn and watch a movie. That's what it's like for me, but I'm generally like, let's go eat some popcorn and watch a entertaining movie that's also pretty good. Particularly when it's a franchise that is specifically made for the medium, like Star Wars, that is specifically designed and had changed the medium, but it's no longer of service. Like we were saying earlier on in this chat, that the MCU is the new Star Wars. Just like the prequels were sort of competing with the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was the new or old trilogy that people could latch onto. So it depends on when you came up. If you came up with Lord of the Rings, you liked it. If you came up with the prequels, apparently you liked them, but they're bad, guys. I don't know if you know that, but the prequels, they're not good movies. And I came up after the original Star Wars trilogy, so I have older brothers. They introduced me to it. Gotta admit, though, when I saw the first Star Wars movie, I was really bored as a kid. I was like, what? There's just robots in the desert, and they're walking for 40 minutes in the desert. I think it's cool that there are robots. However, they're just in a desert. And my brothers, though, I remember I was very young. It was on TV, and they were like, no, there's going to be an amazing space battle. Wait for it. And I waited, and I was like, so when does the space battle happen? Like, listen, there's going to be an amazing space battle. It's going to blow your mind. Just wait for it. I fell asleep and did not see it the first time I watched Star Wars. But I do remember The Empire Strikes Back. That is a fantastic film. It's still pretty good. Color coding. Yeah, Lord of the Rings obviously are... Now here's a little gripe I have, and then I think I'll probably end this stream, but I'm going to be doing this every day, 12:30. Join me every day. And, you know, if you got $1 a month, just $1 a month, you can pledge that to my Patreon channel to help support this channel because, you know, hey, I'm not working. This is my job. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are able to do something to get by. This is what I'm able to do to get by. So any kind of contribution is helpful, and I appreciate it. My gripe about, generally speaking, you know, people say, oh, Lord of the Rings is great because it's based on Tolkien, and Tolkien was a great author. But do you think I think things we find out a lot of times in retrospect are great. However, when they come out, perhaps not are appreciated. When people go on and on about Shakespeare, it's like, yeah, Shakespeare's great. It's a great collaborative effort of work attributed to one guy who's got 8 existing signatures. None of them are spelled the same way. Read a book by Bill Bryson called Shakespeare, I think. Let me find out what that name of that book is. Yeah, I think it's just Shakespeare. The world as a stage. It's a funny little fact about Shakespeare is that there is no correct spelling of Shakespeare. We've just decided upon one, and the only existing signatures, of which there are 8, they're all spelled differently. They're spelled differently. So whoever Shakespeare was, whoever they were, good work, collectively great. I don't know how much they had to watch back then, so it survived. People seem to go, I forget what it's called, but it's an actual phenomenon looking back on the time you grew up with rose-colored glasses. So the time I grew up, I think of all of the great music that came out. And, you know, inarguably there's some great music that came out when I was younger. Among the grunge era, rock and roll, it's a great type of music, a great style of music. Though, if you were to just go back in time and put the radio on and listen, you'd probably hear about 10 terrible songs to every one good song that stuck around for years and years. So you can't really bias yourself. Later, Yaug. Good to see you. Thank you for joining me. I'll be here all week. So be great to see you guys again. Yeah, so the things that stick around are the things that people tend to say, well, that's because it was better and this was... No, there's lots of tripe that goes around for everybody. Just turn on the radio now and then compare it to 5 years from now and see what stuck around. I say this all because who's to say that something like Star Wars won't be looked back upon, which it is now. People look back on it as a great, great thing. And obviously, it was a commercial success. But there are certain movies and certain things that we look back on as like, this was when movies were great. Um, but were they great, or do we just remember it? Do we just remember it being the greatest? So I guess we're all biased towards certain eras because 100 years from now, people might look back at the. Now, just go with me on this. They might look back at Star Wars and say, "This was a classic American cinema that changed the world, and this is golden. This is like the greatest thing ever, and everything that comes out today is garbage." Um, it's all perspective. Nobody. I'm sure a lot of Shakespeare. Listen, how many Shakespeare plays are there? Many. How many are thought of as great? You could say they're all great. They're not all great. Sorry. there, there, uh, there are a few that are actually incredibly great. Not a few, several, but they're not all great. They're not all gems. People might have gone to see a Shakespeare play after they were like, "Yo, that Hamlet was the jam, man. That was fire. That Scottish play was lit." But then they might come out with might see like Henry the Third, not Henry the Fifth, Henry the Third. Let's see. Um, he was like Kurt Cobain with Kurt versus Kurt. Yes. Yes. Shakespeare was very much like Kurt Cobain. I imagine. That's what I would like to imagine. But yeah, I see what you did there, Will. If you look at the liner notes of the Nirvana albums, it's pretty funny because there's no consistent spelling of Kurt Cobain. It's Kurdt or Curt or Kurt. It's never spelled the same way. And I always thought that was cool when I was a kid reading the liner notes. Actually, as a rebellious teenager, I spelled my name differently every time I handed in my work in high school. I just thought, who cares? And nobody's going to notice. And they did notice. And they were like, what's going on? Why are you? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. Do you care? Does this matter? What is even life? In several years, there'll be a pandemic and no one will care about this. Yeah, people have, let's see, I've never thought that it'd be possible as a kid, but new ideas and great execution surpassed it. Uh, yeah, you know, I think it's pretty amazing that there was a studio, Marvel Studios, that actually dedicated their resources on the remaining characters that they had in their licensing, which were Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Captain America. Those were the only characters left that they had not licensed out to major studios, like the X-Men were licensed out to Fox, Fantastic Four, also Fox, I think. However, they were like, what can we do with these characters? We can make them likable. And they did. A lot of people never even heard of Iron Man before the first Iron Man. But you hire Robert Downey Jr. and the movie's just going to be good. Even if the movie's not good, he's good. Every movie that he's in, particularly the Marvel movies, whenever he shows up, the movie gets better. It's why he gets paid $80 million. So I've got 2 minutes remaining on my live stream. If there are any questions, let me have them. Yeah, because he was a fake guy. Who, Shakespeare? Yeah, Shakespeare probably was a fake guy. Excalibur Krull. Krull, that's a good one. I don't know if you all remember Krull, but he had a 5-sided blade that he could chuck. You know, you mentioned Excalibur Crawl Conan, but you forgot Beastmaster. You need to put Beastmaster in there. That was a good one. And Beastmaster 2 with Mark Singer. What's Mark Singer up to? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Where is Mark Singer? I don't know if you guys remember V. That was a fun one. I'm going to go watch The Princess Diaries 2 because I think that's a great movie. I love Julie Andrews, and it's a fun movie. You know what else I like? And you guys can go watch this and tell me I'm wrong, change my mind on this. The Beautician and the Beast. And I'll leave you with this. I actually worked with Fran Drescher years ago on set. It was during sweeps week, so they spent a lot of time. I've got 30 seconds left. Spent a lot of time. It was a 14-hour day. And as charming as her voice is, it is not charming after 8 hours, let alone 12 and up to 14. Thank you guys for watching me. I hope that my voice was charming and good and fun. 10 seconds left. I'm Aristotle, full throttle. Your bro in the know with the fro. And I'll see you later.